You're listening to I Love This TV Show, The Golden Girls.
The Golden Girls, Season 3, Episode 8, Brotherly Love. Original air date, November 14th, 1987. In this episode, Blanche comes into the kitchen with groceries. She's upset. The attorney she's been dating is actually just a fruit waxer at the local grocery store. Rose joins them, still wearing her pajamas, and tries to leave for work. She didn't sleep. After she calls Dorothy Mama, she finally wakes up. Rose then tells a sane-lone-off story about a milk diving contest. The doorbell rings, and it's Stan and his brother. The girls come into the living room, and Dorothy is thrilled to see Ted. Rose is confused. When Dorothy announces that Ted is a doctor, Blanche suddenly becomes interested in him. Once she's learned is divorced, she practically sits in his lap. Blanche asks him out. He tells her no, but Stan says go ahead. They return, and he tries to leave while she wants him to stay over. She throws herself at him, and he turns her down. Rose comes out. She still can't sleep. Then Sophia comes out. Ted takes this opportunity to leave. As he does, Dorothy arrives. She's just finished parent-teacher meetings. Ted invites Dorothy for a drink. The next morning, Rose finds Sophia in the kitchen and tells her she hasn't slept in 4 nights. Rose then tells another St. Olaf story. Sophia gives Rose something to drink. She then goes behind her and tells her it's Sicilian salmonix. Sophia's holding a cooking pan pot, over Rose's head and is about to hit her with it when Blanche comes in and stops her. Stan then comes in the back door, and he's excited and tells her she must have had a good time with Ted. He's come looking for Ted. But Blanche tells Stan that Ted's not there. Stan responds by saying that Ted never came home. So he heads out the front door to go look for him and finds Ted in Dorothy's arms. Stan is horrified. Stan makes Ted leave with him. Blanche is furious with Dorothy about Ted. She storms out. Dorothy goes to talk with Blanche. Dorothy tells Blanche that Ted said they didn't hit it off or have anything in common. They start to get a bit childish with each other. Dorothy takes it to a new low in regards to Blanche's sexual escapades. Rose offers to make Dorothy some tea. She's been drinking it at night. And Dorothy looks at the box and sees that it's full of caffeine. But Rose got confused, and she thinks the caffeine is actually calcium. Dorothy tells her that it isn't, and this caffeine is why she can't sleep. Dorothy tells her that once she stops drinking it, she'll sleep again. That night, Ted and Dorothy go dancing. Stan shows up, and he tries to dance with Dorothy. He tells her about the plane tickets that Ted purchased. Stan thinks Ted is going to propose to Dorothy, and he becomes incredibly jealous. Stan pushes it over and over about marrying Dorothy, but Ted then tells them both that he wants to take a flight attendant to Acapulco. He wants Dorothy to babysit while they're gone. Dorothy is quite pissed. She leaves. But before she does, she announces over the restaurant loudspeaker that Ted is impotent. Blanche finds Rose finally asleep in her bed. But she tries to wake her up. She's upset about Dorothy. There's a knock, and it's Dorothy. Blanche runs and hides behind the drapes. Dorothy admits she should never have let a man come between her and her best friend. Blanche rushes out and tells her she forgives her. Dorothy is startled that Blanche appeared out of nowhere. They all make up. Sophia comes in with something to help Rose sleep. She made a Sicilian sleeping potion. Dorothy doesn't think it would work. She takes a sip and then faints. She faked it to make her mom happy. However, a few moments later, Dorothy really passes out. Favorite quotes. Blanche. Why do men have to put up false pretenses? Sophia. This from a woman who wears more padding on her chest than Johnny Bench. Dorothy. Go hug a landmine. Dorothy. Welcome to my life. Ted, I don't want to put you out. Blanche. Oh, I like to put out. Blanche. Try counting sheep. Rose. I can't count sheep. I'm allergic to wool. Rose. Ted was your date, Blanche. Dorothy, you must have slept with somebody else. Blanche. I'm simply questioning how any man could choose you over me. Rose. You mean if I stop drinking that I can sleep? Dorothy. You may even blink again. Rose. You're not a terrible person. You're just horny all the time. Dorothy. What is this? Hamlet? This episode has many, many things to discuss. Blanche gets lied to by a guy, but I'm betting that's happened a lot. It would be interesting to just deep dive and see how many times there's been some kind of a lie told to Blanche. Sometimes she doesn't seem to care, but in this case, she definitely does, because this is kind of more of like a prestigious thing. Pretending to be an attorney when you really just really work in the produce section at a local grocery store. I'm quite certain that her biggest issue is the difference in pay. That someone who works in a produce section makes a whole lot less than an attorney. And then Rose and her sleep deprivation. This goes over like 4 or 5 days, honestly. Because I think that's how the time frame goes in this whole episode. And that's quite interesting because she gets real loopy. But it is actually how people get when they are sleep deprived. As the days wear on and you really don't get any sleep, your brain starts to not act right. It's affected. Your brain's not built to constantly be running at full speed. That's kind of why we sleep, why our body's like, oh, we need to go to sleep because our bodies need to recharge, brain included. And sleep is how you recharge. Oh boy, Rose's milk diving contest St. Olaf story. Oh, I can't even go into detail on that. That's just like, oh my goodness. Her St. Olaf stories are always quite intriguing, interesting, amusing, funny, and oftentimes annoying as well. But they're always entertaining. Now, this is the episode where we meet Stan's brother, Ted. And I don't recall in any prior episodes up to this point where we have been informed that Stan has a brother or a sister. I know there's an episode later in the series where we meet his mom in a flashback, and we learn about other siblings and family members, but it's just part of a flashback. This one is in living color. And because he's Stan's brother, Blanche takes zero interest in him. And it kind of cracks me up. Once she learns he's a doctor, then she's on him like white on rice. I mean, it's like sickening almost to the point of how she goes after him. And we all know Blanche doesn't deal well with rejection. So when we get to the end of this date and he's not interested in sleeping over, woo, Blanche gets upset. Now later on we learn that he didn't stay over because he's impotent. But Blanche didn't know that, and Blanche just thought that he wasn't into her, didn't find her attractive, and it hurt her ego. And Blanche is definitely about her ego. Sophia, we don't really see too much in this episode. We see in like some crucial parts, but not like through every single episode. Like when we get to her lovely Sicilian Salmonix, where she's basically just gonna smack her in the head with a pop to knock her out so she can get some sleep. That's hilarious. Because the expression on her face looks like she's like, I'm gonna really enjoy this. I'm gonna feel guilty about it, but I'm gonna enjoy this. Because she's not gonna tell any more St. Olaf stories. Excuse me. But oh my goodness, Blanche catching her, that's just too funny. Oh, but yeah, then Stan coming in, trying to find Ted, kind of shocked that Blanche says he didn't stay there. Because it is Blanche. But clearly at this point, Stan does not know about Ted's impotence problem. So even having Blanche ready to roll, that's not going to fix that. When he finds Ted in Dorothy's arms on the front porch. Oh my God, it is so funny how jealous he gets. He's like in a whole tizzy pretty much. And it's like they've been divorced for a while. He cheated on her left, right, and sideways. He's got no real business being jealous, yet he is. Now, I don't know if he would still be jealous if it was someone that wasn't his brother, or if he just thinks his brother is overstepping. That's never completely clear. But, oh yeah, he's just beyond. And then Dorothy and Blanche have a bit of a falling out over this because Blanche thinks that Dorothy stole Ted, even though technically Dorothy didn't steal Ted because they didn't do anything other than really go have drinks. But yeah, the two get into a fight and it causes some harm to them, puts them in a bad, not so fun situation. But this also leads to Dorothy discovering the reason why Rose hasn't been sleeping, that her tea is full of caffeine. Now, I'm still confused as to how Rose thought caffeine was calcium and why she didn't really know the difference. So that just kind of strikes me a bit odd, but it is what it is. And I like the fact that she's like, oh my God, I can actually sleep if I stop drinking this. And then she pretty much stops drinking it. Once the caffeine purges out of her system, then yeah, she'll pass out real quick. Ooh, but then that night when Ted and Dorothy go dancing, and again, Stan comes in. But this time it's because he is really freaked out. He is well past jealousy now. He thinks that Ted's going to propose to Dorothy. And he's not happy about it. Yeah, he's jealous, but he's like, this is insane. He really thinks that they're all insane. But then when the truth comes out, that Ted wants to go away with his flight attendant and just wants Dorothy to babysit her kids while they're gone. Ooh. Yeah, that's pretty harsh. I'm not even sure I would be okay with that. I'm like, wait a second, you're gonna be gone for how long and you want to drop these completely strange kids on me? Just because I was a teacher doesn't mean that I'm a babysitter. You know, teachers are about curriculum. They're not really babysitting. They're monitoring, but they're not really babysitting. Then we all get right back at the house again. And Blanche is feeling guilty for how she acted. Dorothy is feeling guilty for how she acted. And in the process of waking the finally sleeping Rose, they make up. But oh my goodness. Sophia steals this scene, just steals it with her. I made this Sicilian sleeping potion. And of course, Dorothy is just humoring her and pretends it knocks her out. But then, just a minute or so later, after Sophia leaves, it really does knock her out. It would be quite interesting to see what was actually in this. I mean, I know it's all fake because it's on the TV show. But inside the TV show, it's the TV show reality. So it's always interesting to get into the characters' heads. Oh, this was just a fun, crazy back and forth episode. And it's a favorite. Thanks for tuning in to the I Love This TV Show podcast. If you would like to make a donation in support of this podcast, you can through Cash App to Pasta26MC. That's pasta like the food, the number 2, the number 6, M as in monkey, C as in cat. If you would like to sponsor this podcast or advertise on it, please send an email to podcast@pastasworld.com. As always, you can go to pastasworld.com for more information.